The Awakening, the Revised Edition, by Lilac Moon. Chapter 11, Eye of the Storm. Anakin yawned deeply, as he slowly awoke from one of the best night's sleeps he had enjoyed in months. And of course, that was because he was in bed with his beautiful wife, holding her tightly. He rested a hand instinctively on her pregnant belly as she hummed sweetly. As she turned her head, her gorgeous brown eyes fluttered open. He smiled at her and caressed her cheek. "Good morning, my beautiful angel," he said. She smiled. "Good morning, my handsome protector," she said rather sleepily, as he kissed her tenderly. And passion would be as relentless this morning as it had been last night. Sometime later. "Wow, that's the best way I've ever woken up before," she mentioned. He chuckled. "Definitely," he agreed as he kissed her softly. "Do you have to be in session today?" he asked, referring to the Senate. "Yes, but not for a while. Several other senators and I believe that Palpatine is going to push to keep his emergency powers. It's bad enough he has them in the first place, but his final term in office ended months ago. As long as the war continues, he stays in office," Padme said. "As soon as Grievous is dealt with, the war will end. And the sooner he's out of office, the better, I think," Anakin replied. His answer surprised Padme. She knew he no longer supported the Chancellor, or even liked him anymore. But he had never taken such a firm stance on the matter before. "What?" he asked, noticing her surprised look. "I've just never heard you speak so directly against him. I know you don't support him anymore, which I'm grateful for, but you've never been quite so outspoken about it," she said. "Well, after what happened on the Imperial Hand, I lost even more respect for him," he replied. "What happened?" she asked. "During my trial with Count Dooku, I injured and defeated him. As I was about to put the stun cuffs on him to arrest him, Palpatine ordered me to kill him. But I told him I couldn't kill an unarmed man. It would have been wrong," Anakin said. "You were right to disobey those orders," Padme assured him. "I know. I guess it just bothers me that, a couple of years ago, I would have done it without thinking," Anakin replied. "But you've become a better person, and you've learnt to control your anger. Dooku was a deplorable human being, and millions have suffered because of him. He also injured you on Geonosis, yet you spared his life in favour of bringing him to justice, rather than seeking revenge," Padme replied. He nodded. "Not that it mattered. Grievous killed him anyway, which is strange in itself," Anakin said. "How so?" Padme asked. "Grievous is an assassin, a lackey to carry out the Sith's bidding. He is neither the master nor the apprentice, and only takes orders from them. The only reason he would have killed Dooku was if the master ordered him to." "What do you think that means?" she asked. "That the master has found someone he deems more worthy to be his apprentice. With Dooku, we at least knew who one of the Sith were. Now we're back to being in the dark completely," Anakin answered. "Are you going to speak to Obi-Wan about this?" she asked. He nodded. "Yes, when I see him today. I'm also going to have to tell him about us soon," he said. She nodded uncertainly. "How do you think he'll react?" she wondered. "I don't know. But it doesn't matter. Because our babies are a blessing, and our love is a wonderful, beautiful thing. We have a lot to figure out, but I promise it will all work out," he replied. She nodded and cuddled against him. "Speaking of things to figure out, we need to start talking about baby names," she mentioned. He smiled. "Sounds like fun," he replied. "I had 3PO pull up a whole database of possibilities," she said as she picked up her datapad from the nightstand. "Well then, let's go and make the calf and start looking through names," he said as they got up. He slipped his sleep pants on and she wrapped a shimmer silk robe around her body as they joined hands and went out to the living area. The Works. It was a place on Coruscant that few knew about. It made the perfect place for Sidious to operate. As the ship slowly docked in Sidious's secret landing bay of his compound, the Dark Lord himself, disguised with a cowl pulled up to cover much of his face, stood waiting. His new apprentice was on board. The young man had been engineered to know nothing but cruelty and evil. He fed on anger and rage, which festered inside of him. And Sidious could already feel how powerful the dark side was in this boy. This brought an evil, twisted smile to his weathered face. The galaxy was his for the taking now. His apprentice would obey his every command without question, and would do so with merciless precision. 2 clone troopers descended the ramp first. They had been charged with delivering the young Sith, who would soon become the murderer of thousands of Jedi, including his own dear father, who had no idea of his existence. A hooded figure descended the ramp, and even with his cloak, it could easily be seen that he was very well built. He also towered above his new master for a moment, until he was kneeling before him in servitude. "Rise, my young apprentice," Sidious ordered. The young man obeyed and dropped the hood of his cloak, allowing Sidious to see his apprentice for the first time. He was tall and handsome, like his father, though Sidious could easily see Amidala in many of the boy's facial features, including his hair and eyes, which he could tell were brown beneath the yellow that clouded his irises. "We meet at last. Count Dooku did well in training you, but he was old and had outlived his usefulness. He has been eliminated, and you will soon take his place by my side. However, no one must know of your arrival," Sidious said, motioning to the 2 clones. Without thinking and with lightning-fast reflexes, the young Sith ignited his crimson blade and cut them down before they could even scream. He extinguished his saber, and Sidious smirked evilly. "Very good. The time to unleash you on the Jedi draws very near, but our timing must be perfect. You will remain here, in this compound, and train until I summon you. Once I do, you will join me," Sidious ordered. "Yes, my master. I will do thy bidding," the young Sith responded. "Good. Then from this day forth, you shall be known as Darth Vader." Obi-Wan and Anakin walked into the temple gardens together the next day. "Anakin, what is troubling you?" Obi-Wan said. "It's the Chancellor," Anakin replied. "What about him?" Obi-Wan asked. "Yesterday, after I disarmed Count Dooku, the Chancellor ordered me to kill him. But I couldn't. Not when he was unarmed," Anakin replied. Obi-Wan placed his hand on Anakin's shoulder. "Anakin, you did the right thing. He was an injured, unarmed prisoner, and you arrested him. Just as you should have, even if Grievous later killed him. Had you listened to the Chancellor, you would have killed him in cold blood. You should feel very good about your choice. I know I do. You've made me very proud," Obi-Wan said. Anakin looked surprised. "I have?" Anakin asked in amazement. Obi-Wan chuckled. "Anakin, I know I have always been hard on you, but I do believe in you. I know now that I can trust that you'll do the right thing. You have matured vastly in the past 2 years." Obi-Wan replied. Anakin smiled faintly. "That would be Padme's doing." "I don't think that we can lie to him much longer, my love," Anakin said to himself. "I have told you that the Chancellor cannot be trusted. I am glad that you are finally seeing that, even though I know it's hard for you," Obi-Wan replied. "He was my friend, but when I didn't kill Count Dooku after he asked me to, he looked disappointed. I don't want to think that he can't be trusted, but I know that he can't now. I don't know how I know that, but I do," Anakin replied. "You know that because you've grown up, and you're finally learning to trust your instincts.
Let the Force guide you, and it won't lead you wrong,
Obi-Wan told him. Anakin nodded and took a deep breath. Master, there is something I need to tell you, Anakin began, as he prepared to reveal his marriage to Obi-Wan. But, unfortunately, his comlink chimed, interrupting them.
Kenobi here,
he answered.
Master Kenobi, your presence is required in the council chambers as soon as possible,
Mace's voice requested.
I'll be right there,
Obi-Wan replied.
I'm afraid we'll have to speak later,
Obi-Wan told him. Anakin nodded. Of course, he replied, as Obi-Wan hurried off. But, fortunately, the second person he needed to talk to, he noticed, as he saw Ahsoka appear around the corner.
I was just getting ready to come and look for you, Snips.
Long time no see, Master, she replied.
Sorry, Ahsoka. I meant to come by yesterday and see you, but...
Anakin began. But you had someone else to see, she finished. He smirked. Master, I know you're keeping something from me, and maybe it's because you're afraid I'll reject you, but that's not true. Some of the Padawans reject me, just like some of the Masters reject you. But I'm not them, and I'm going to want to be your Padawan. No matter what, she replied. Anakin put his hand on her shoulder.
You're wise beyond your years, Ahsoka, and I know I can trust you with my secret,
Anakin said.
Come on, let's go to Dex's for a couple of chocolate blue milkshakes, and we'll talk. There will be no more secrets between us,
Anakin promised.
The council is now in session,
Mace announced, as the 12 council members, many of whom were attending via holocron, attended the session.
Master Yoda and I met with Chancellor Palpatine this morning and pleaded with him to release his emergency powers and take the necessary steps to end the war. But he refused to, stating that the war is still going strong with Grievous on the loose. That is why we must do everything we can to bring Grievous to justice. Only then can we end the war,
Mace stated.
Chosen you for this mission, Master Kenobi. The council has,
Yoda stated.
Will Anakin be accompanying me?
Obi-Wan asked.
No, we have another mission for him. One right here on Coruscant,
Mace stated.
The Chancellor Palpatine has proven that he cannot be trusted. We are appointing Anakin as a liaison between the Chancellor and the Council,
Mace informed.
You want him to spy on the Chancellor?
Obi-Wan deduced. A last resort, we believe it is, but a necessary one, we feel, Yoda stated.
I agree. Anakin's trust in him has been heavily shaken as well. He would do well at this assignment,
Obi-Wan concluded.
We feel the same. We must ask that you leave with Cody and his battalion immediately,
Mace stated.
Yes, Master,
Obi-Wan answered.
Well, bless my soul. It's about time you came to visit old Dex,
the Dino owner said, as he engulfed Anakin in a huge hug.
It's good to see you too, Dex,
Anakin replied with a grin.
And young Ahsoka too. You're growing like a weed, young one,
Dex mentioned as he hugged her too.
Have a seat and I'll bring you a couple of blue milkshakes with lots of chocolate,
Dex said. You know as well, Anakin said as they sat down. Ahsoka decided not to delay their conversation any longer. Master, every time we come home to Coruscant, you always disappear. And I think I know where you go, Ahsoka stated.
You have good instincts, and you've learned to trust them at a much younger age than I did. You probably do know,
Anakin replied. And you're not very good at hiding your emotions, Ahsoka added. Anakin smoked.
No, I'm not.
You're better than me at that too, Anakin replied. You go to Senator Amidala's place, don't you? She questioned.
He nodded. Yes. And that's because Padme is my wife,
Anakin stated, seeing no reason to beat about the bush. Ahsoka wanted honesty, and that's what he was going to give her. The Padawan gasped in surprise.
We fell in love 3.5 years ago, while I was serving as her protector on Naboo. We tried to set aside our feelings, but it proved to be impossible. The more we pushed our feelings away, the more deeply in love we fell. And when we were faced with certain death on Geonosis, and we thought we were going to die, we gave in. Then, when we survived, There was no going back, and neither of us wanted to try and be without the other. It would have been impossible, and so we married just after the first Battle of Geonosis in the Lake Country on Naboo. Anakin confessed.
You're married?
Ahsoka quietly asked in disbelief. Anakin smiled. And so in love. I know that you can believe attachment is wrong, but I can't change who I am, or what I believe in. Padme makes me who I am, and I believe in love. Even though the Jedi forbid it, I will understand if you no longer want to be my Padawan, and I'll understand if you expose me to the Council now. But know that I still want to be your master, even though I may soon be expelled.
Anakin replied. You're going to tell them yourself? She asked. He nodded.
As soon as the war is over. You see, I am also going to become a father very soon. Padme is pregnant, and we want to raise our family together. I only hope that if they do expel me, that you won't turn against me too. Family is everything to me, and I consider you part of that family. So does Padme. You're important to me, and so you're automatically important to her, he told her.
Ahsoka felt her heart soften. Everything her master was saying and had done gone against everything she had ever been taught. Yet, he had become one of the most powerful and wisest Jedi in the time she had known him. And she wouldn't be too hasty in her judgment. Your secret is safe with me, Master. I just hope they don't expel you. If anyone deserves an exception made for them, it's you, Ahsoka replied.
Anakin smiled. Thanks, Snips,
he said. So, what now? She asked.
Well, I better let Padme know that there'll be 3 of us for the evening meal. That is, if you'd like to join us, he asked.
She smiled. I'd like that, Ahsoka replied, though she was still uncertain what to make of her master's attachment. She was willing to make her conclusions later, with proper evidence, and even more willing to take a chance on her master. End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed this one. I like that chapter. Anakin wanted to tell Obi-Wan but just got interrupted. Him telling Ahsoka, and of course Darth Vader. But it's not Anakin. But it's almost more heartbreaking because it's not. I love that so much as I flippin' hate it. But then again, this is Star Wars and emotional twists and turns are almost everywhere. So you guys know the drill. Like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell to get notified for whenever I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye my guys, gals and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care.